Hello everybody. Pardon the bad lighting. I just took an aquarium light there. It's kind of small. But I wanted to share my experience with setting up a dirted tank. Let me back up a little bit. This is the new 29 gallon. And I started in on it and almost forgot to turn this on. Okay, so one of the mistakes I said I made in the 10 gallon tank was I had the mud too wet. Let's see here. If you notice, I dug back down here and there's no water pooling. In the 10 gallon, I would have water pooling. I'm gonna get my hands nice and dirty, but you can see it is thick, okay? It's wet, but it's thick. So that's one of the keys, because I had the water that had all the nutrients and from the dirt, the organic dirt, come up through the sand bed, and that's what caused my problems in the 10 gallon. So that right there is the Miracle-Gro organic. I think it's potting mix. I don't have the bag up here. And then I mixed in some, it's called coconut core. So coconut husks, basically. And I added that last because mixing the mud, it was a little soupy. And so I added some of that and it dried it right up. In fact, you can still see some spots that are a little dry, but that's okay. And then just a little bit moist over here. So this is going to be kind of pieced together. I'm going to smooth this out, try to clean up the glass, and then hopefully come back in a video as I put the sand in. Okay, so I added a little bit more of the coconut husk to the top of the dirt, and you can see it looks pretty dry. There's really not much water wicking up to it, so I think I have the right consistency this time. I put it down as kind of an extra barrier because I don't want the same thing happening again. Now, if you're wondering about the sand, I know everyone says this, go check out my other video, but I suggest that. But I buy the Quikrete Premium Play Sand. I paid really close to $3.50 at the store today for another bag. So I'm just going to kind of get it spreading around. And if my dirt was wet or too wet, this would disappear really quick. Water, that muddy water would soak into it and it wouldn't be nice and clean looking sand. So this is kind of telling me if I've got any like really wet spots in the tank. And yes, I know, I still got some dirt on the walls, but I'm not too worried about that. When I fill up the tank, it'll settle down into the sand and I'm okay with it. It doesn't really bug me. With my light, you can't see it down here. Well, hang on. See if I can't change that. There, you can see my dirt layer. So I don't mind that. Some people don't like that. So if you don't like the look of dirt there, I'll show you. I think Father Fish mentions this. So I'm going to put a mounded dirt there. And I don't know how I'm going to do this with this light. That might work. Can you see it? Yeah, you can see it. But you can take something, even like your fingers, and you push down and then pull back away from the glass, the sand will fill in that little hole. You can do your finger, but there's other things that will do it faster. So you can actually see, I pushed it out of the way and got sand in there. So when you push down, then you tilt your finger back this way and then pull out like this, so the sand will just run in a place where your finger was at. So now I've got an ugly white spot there, but that's okay. So that's how you can get it away from the glass, and you don't have to be perfect when you put the mud in there. You could use like a small spatula and do the same thing. And if you stuck it in there and pulled it back, you could just pour some sand in and pull the spatula out. and just keep going along like that if you wanted to. Depends on how you want your tank to look. So that's, you know, just a suggestion if you want to do that. Now, I've got approximately 2 inches of dirt. I think Father Fish, you know what? Go check out Father Fish if you haven't, and look up his dirted tank videos. There's a lot of them, and there's some updates. I would definitely suggest that no matter what. I've done 2 dirted tanks, so this is my 3rd one here. The first one went flawless. The second one I messed up. He may not explain some of his reasoning, but there are very good reasons for why he does it the way he does it. And in one of his videos, he said you don't have to do it so expensive with all the ingredients that he adds. I just picked up organic potting mix. That's what I used for my first tank. That's what I used for my second tank. I'm throwing in the coconut husks in this tank just for a little additive to try to help it out. I rent a townhouse, so I don't have a place to put all the different ingredients that he puts in his dirt. So I have to go a little more simple. And I've got some plants that are really growing great. Now, I will probably have to replace my dirt in the future, but by then, it'll probably be time that I'm moving into a house, and hopefully I'll be able to add all those goodies that he mentions that is really healthy for aquarium plants. Now, this dirt is really healthy for the aquarium plants, but from my understanding, that this dirt here will run out of nutrients faster. So that's kind of the difference. If I remember correctly, he said this will get you through, you know, year or two. Hey, that sounds great to me. He's got tanks that are over 10 years going. So when I get a house and I set up some more permanent tanks, I am going to invest in all those different additives, such as, I think there's bone meal, there's, see, I can't even remember. So I'm going to finish adding the sand, and this is not my only bag of sand. This is just some leftovers. I'm using this, and then I've got to go downstairs and bring up the other bag of sand. I'll be back. Okay, here it is. Now, the edge of the dirt down here, I had it a little bit lower than the rest of the dirt, so you got to add about a 1/2 inch. So there's about 2 inches of mud in here. It's about right here, and then 2 inches of sand. So that is how I start this. For those who have not seen my first video, the reason why I use this sand is because, well, I can put it in here dry. I do not have to wash it. And it's a good price. I do not get the cloudiness that a lot of other sands will give you if you just go ahead and add water to it. So that's the spoiler alert for my sand video. Now, in my sand video, I did it kind of harshly to show you how much dirt's actually in the sand. But when I fill this tank, I will set a plate or something in here and fill it slowly so I do not agitate the sand. In my sand video, I showed you agitating, where I put some sand down and then I dumped water right into the sand, and the other one I put some sand in a cup, or water in a cup, and then dumped the sand through the water to show you how bad it would really be. So I've got to get set up and start filling this with water, and hopefully I turn the camera back on. Okay, I didn't turn on the camera right away as I was filling the tank. I had to pause so you can kind of see it. It's not full yet. And I was adding some plants in, put in a new sponge filter, and it's all nice and clean. You know, I mainly just shot the water onto this flat rock right here, and it doesn't stir up the sand. The water is just a tad bit cloudy to my eyes. Camera shows it pretty clear, but it's about as cloudy as like a bacteria bloom that is just barely starting. I can still see everything just fine. Put some frog bit in there, put some duckweed in there, a few other little plants. Hopefully they'll get going. And that is basically the start of the tank. I will probably end this video here of me setting up this tank, but it gives a good idea of why I go ahead and use this sand. You can see a little bit of sediment on it, which doesn't bug me, you know, from just stirring up some odds and ends. I still got some dirt to clean off the wall there. There's some behind that plant a little bit, some over there, and some, I don't know, floating. It's green. I think it's growing. I'm gonna let it go and see what happens. And a few little leaves that I just got in there. But I got the light in today, so it was perfect timing. So step back here a little bit so you can see the light right up there. Looks pretty good. I've got all the other lights in the room out, and this tank is just really bright. So I hope you liked that, and hope that may help some people. Have a good one. See you later.